Imagine standing on a planet where the sunsets glow blue, where a single volcano is nearly 3 times taller than Mount Everest, and where the dust storms can swallow the entire globe for months at a time. This isn't science fiction. This is Mars, our next-door neighbor. And tonight we're going to explore some of the most surprising secrets it's been hiding in plain sight. So settle in, relax, and let's take a journey across 40 million miles of empty space to the red planet. Let's start with that famous color. Mars is called the red planet for a reason, but the reason is surprisingly humble. The whole world is rusting. The surface is covered in iron-rich dust, and over billions of years that iron reacted with tiny amounts of oxygen, turning into iron oxide. That's the very same compound that makes a forgotten nail turn orange in your garage. So in a very real sense, Mars is just an enormous, slowly rusting world floating through space. Now here's where things get truly spectacular. Mars is home to the largest volcano in the entire solar system. It's called Olympus Mons, and it is so big it almost breaks your brain. It rises about 16 miles above the surrounding plains, which is roughly 3 times the height of Mount Everest. Its base is so wide it would cover the entire state of Arizona. If you were standing at the foot of it, the slope would be so gradual and the volcano so massive that you wouldn't even be able to see the summit. It would curve away beyond the horizon. And it's not just volcanoes that go big on Mars. The planet also hosts the largest canyon we know of, a vast system called Valles Marineris. This thing stretches over 2,500 miles long, and in places it plunges more than 4 miles deep. To put that in perspective, if you laid it across the United States, it would reach from coast to coast. The Grand Canyon, mighty as it is here on Earth, would be little more than a side ditch by comparison. But let's talk about something gentler, something genuinely beautiful. On Earth, our sunsets blaze with red and orange. On Mars, it's the opposite. When the sun sinks toward the horizon, the sky around it glows a soft, cool blue. This happens because the fine dust in the Martian atmosphere scatters light differently than our air does, letting the blue wavelengths linger near the sun while the rest of the sky stays a dusty butterscotch color during the day. Rovers have actually photographed these blue sunsets, and they're strangely peaceful to look at. Here's a fact that surprises almost everyone. A day on Mars is remarkably close to a day on Earth. While the Martian year is nearly twice as long as ours, taking about 687 Earth days to orbit the Sun, a single Martian day lasts just 37 minutes longer than ours. Scientists even have a special name for it. They call it soul. It means that if you lived on Mars, your daily rhythm of waking and sleeping would feel almost completely natural. Mars also has 2 small moons, and they're nothing like our own. They're named Phobos and Deimos, and instead of being round and graceful, they look more like lumpy potatoes. They're probably captured asteroids. The larger one, Phobos, is slowly spiraling inward toward Mars, drawing a little closer with every passing year. In the distant future, tens of millions of years from now, it will either crash into the surface or be torn apart into a ring of debris circling the planet. Now, you might think a planet half the size of Earth would have weak weather, but Mars has some of the most dramatic dust storms anywhere. When conditions are right, a storm can grow and grow until it wraps around the entire planet, blanketing the whole world in a haze of fine dust for weeks or even months. These global storms are so powerful they can block out the sun, which has been a real challenge for our solar-powered rovers and landers trying to keep their batteries charged. One of the most exciting discoveries in recent decades is the evidence that Mars was once a much wetter world. When we look at the surface today, we see dried-up riverbeds, ancient lake basins, and minerals that only form in the presence of water. Billions of years ago, Mars may have had rivers flowing across its surface and possibly even a vast ocean covering its northern hemisphere. Somewhere along the way, it lost most of its atmosphere and the water vanished, but the fingerprints of that lost world are still there, written into the rock. and there's still water on Mars today, just not the kind you'd want to swim in. The planet has frozen polar ice caps made of both water ice and frozen carbon dioxide, what we call dry ice. As the seasons change, these caps grow and shrink, breathing in and out with the Martian year. Scientists have even found signs of ice buried beneath the surface across much of the planet, which could one day become a crucial resource for human explorers. Speaking of explorers, let's talk about gravity, because Mars would change how you move forever. The gravity, there is only about 38% of Earth's. That means if you weighed 100 pounds here, you'd weigh just 38 pounds on Mars. You could jump nearly 3 times higher than you can at home, and lifting heavy objects would feel almost effortless. Astronauts walking on Mars would move with a kind of bouncing, floating stride, a little like the footage we have of the Apollo astronauts hopping across the moon. Here's one more that really shows how unusual the Martian environment is. The atmosphere is incredibly thin, less than 1% the density of Earth's, and it's made almost entirely of carbon dioxide. That thin air means the pressure is so low that liquid water on the surface would boil away almost instantly, even at freezing temperatures. It also means that even though those dust storms cover the whole planet, the wind itself would feel surprisingly gentle against your hand. The air is just too thin to pack much a punch. And finally, consider this. Mars is the only planet in our solar system, other than Earth, that we have explored with rovers rolling across its surface. We have machines up there right now, driving over ancient riverbeds, drilling into rocks, snapping photographs, and even flying a tiny helicopter through that thin air. For the first time in history, humanity has eyes and wheels on another world, sending back postcard from a place no person has ever set foot. And many scientists believe it's only a matter of time before the first human boot prints press into that rusty red soil. So there you have it, a rusting world with blue sunsets, a volcano taller than 3 Everests, a canyon that could stretch across a continent, and the lingering ghosts of ancient oceans. Mars is far stranger and far more beautiful than most of us ever imagined, and we've only just begun to understand it. If you enjoyed this journey to the Red Planet, do us a small favor and hit that subscribe button. Here at BetterNight, we explore the wonders of the universe to help you relax, unwind, and drift off to sleep feeling a little more curious about the cosmos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Until then, sweet dreams.